Ms. Bonnie Jackson. My name is Tony Marabella, and I'll be acting as chair today. Support staff located here at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge are.
John Bosek.
Thank you. Our remote location this morning is a Louisiana State Penitentiary with the staff at Angola. Please introduce themselves.
Deputy Warden Rochelle Ambo.
Resident Latimore classification.
Carmen Shipley, offender records.
Cindy
Sturgeon, transition specialist.
Cindy Park, nurse practitioner.
Tanya Faust, hospice nurse.
Thank you. Our first case this morning is going to be Mr. Robert Maddox. Mr. Maddox, can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Mr. Maddox, if you would please give me your full name and DOC number.
Robert E. Maddox. And my number is 116487.
Thank you, Mr. Maddox. Let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to read some information into the record, and then the board is going to conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we'll allow the participants who've indicated they wish to speak to have their input. You have present today speaking on your behalf is, in opposition. There is the victim's daughter wishes to speak today. Today's hearing is for the purposes of a medical treatment furlough. I'm going to read some information into the record. This is the matter of Robert Maddox, date of birth, September the 4th of 1944. Mr. Maddox is classified as a third felony offender. He is serving a life sentence on the charge of second-degree murder. He is not eligible for parole. We have information in the record that I would like to put a few things in the record. Mr. Maddox is charged, the charge stems from an August 30, 1985 killing that Mr. Maddox committed at the time of his wife. We have information in the record indicating the things that he has done while he's been in prison. And I will recite those towards the end of our presentation. We have present a recommendation by the Secretary of the Department of Corrections recommending a medical treatment furlough. And we have information from the medical staff there suggesting that we grant a medical treatment furlough. Ms. Park, we have reviewed your video as well as the video of you and Mr. Maddox. If you would please just give us a presentation for the record of Mr. Maddox's medical condition and why we should consider a medical treatment furlough.
Yes, sir. Mr. Maddox is 78 years old. He has a history of hypertension, hyperlipidemia, peripheral artery disease, atrial fib. When COVID came, he almost died from COVID. He was hospitalized in our nursing unit for a lengthy period of time. Never really fully recovered, remained weak. I attempted to send him back to the dorm, to the assisted living dorm. He just never was really able to do very much care for himself. So for the last year, we have had him admitted to the skilled nursing unit. He very seldom gets out of bed. Even prior to getting COVID, he was wheelchair dependent. But now he is incontinent of urine and stool. He stays in the bed a majority of the time. He's not able to stand to get into a wheelchair by himself, so the orderlies need to lift him. He just has age-related deficits. As you can see, he's fully oriented. He knows what's going on, but his condition is permanent. He has not improved in the last year at all. He's actually gotten a little worse.
And it's your recommendation that he be given a medical treatment furlough, and where will he be housed?
So we have talked to River Oaks in Baker, and they're the ones that we would send him to.
And they're willing to accept him?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Maddox, how are you today?
I'm fine.
Mr. Maddox, how do you feel about going to River Oaks?
Well, I'm all for it if that's what they want to do.
Okay. I see you're in a wheelchair now. We observed you yesterday on the video. You're unable to get out of bed on your own.
Well, I can get up, but it's just a lot of trouble for me to try to get out of bed by myself.
Okay. And Ms. Park, in reviewing your notes yesterday and your video, you indicated that he is going to require nursing care for the rest of his life. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. He needs to be bathed, dressed, and honestly, he just doesn't get out of bed very often at all.
Good. Good morning, Ms. Parks. How are you?
Good, thank you, sir.
Just review his medical issues. I know he's age deficit, and I know he didn't get out of bed, but what is his medical issue?
So, he mostly just has chronic medical problems with his hypertension, his kidney disease. He has a heart issue called atrial fibrillation. He has bad circulation to his legs. I feel like the COVID, when he had COVID, he was acutely ill in the hospital for a lengthy period of time. He just has not been able to, he has not recovered from the deficits that developed when he had COVID. He just became weak and never really improved after that. And I believe that he had COVID the first time, which was pretty incapacitating. And for a long time, we thought he was not going to survive. And then he had his second bout of COVID. And after that, he just didn't, his condition, we didn't even send him back to the assisted living dorm. He ended up staying in the nursing unit.
With his medical problems, COVID, in his age, he's got to the point where he needs assistance in doing everything.
Yes, sir. Even prior to that, he was living in the assisted living dorm because he did need assistance.
Thank you, Ms. Parks.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Park, your opinion is also, we have a letter, is also the opinion of Dr. Toast and Dr. Johnson as well.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll hear from Ms. Heather Rice. Ms. Rice. Good morning, Ms. Rice. Can you hear me?
Good morning. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can. Would you please introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like us to know?
Hi, I'm Heather Rice. I'm Barbara's oldest daughter, Bob's stepdaughter. I met Bob when I was 10 years old. He was a truck driver and an alcoholic. Bob told me for years how worthless and no good I was, and he stole my innocence. And I still struggle with my self-worth to this day. 3 weeks before September 5th, 1985, when he murdered my mother, I told my mom he had been crawling in my bed and violating me. And how was I to know at 15 years old that my life, those words would change forever? We left that night, and Bob was angry. He was very angry. He began showing up at her work and yelling and cursing and telling her to come back. September 4th, 1985 was Bob's birthday. He showed up that night where we were living, and he demanded her wedding rings. He threw her up against a wall. And my mom asked him, Robert, what do I need to do? Get a restraining order against you? He turned to her and he said, what I'm going to do to you tomorrow, 10 restraining orders cannot keep me from doing. As he walked down the stairs, he turned to me and he said, kiss her goodbye tonight. This is your fault. And remember, if you'd been nicer, I'd let her live another day. If I hadn't told, she wouldn't have left. And I've carried that with me for nearly 38 years. The morning of September 5th, 1985, my mom went to the police station asking for help. They didn't. She arrived at work at 6:45 a.m. and she asked her boss to please not let Bob in. He said he would, but he had to go to the store. Meanwhile, 15 minutes away, Bob was at a pawn shop at 9:55 waiting for it to open. And at 10:40, a trade purchase agreement was drawn up showing where Bob traded her wedding rings for a gun, a .357 Magnum, and a box of hollow point bullets. At 11 a.m., Bob walked into my mom's work and he asked her calmly one last time, Barbie, are you coming home? She said no. He took a gun from his pocket and he shot her and killed her shot her 3 times and killing her. And just like that, her life was over. My sisters and I lost our mother. Her parents lost their daughter, but the world lost Barbie. He sat and drank beer and waited for the police. My child had been lost, destroyed with abuse and shame, and I harbored hate and anger for every broken, violated piece of my childhood. Nightmares continued on and off for years, and I lived in my own internal hell. But most of all, I blame myself, because all these years later, that one moment still haunts me. What if I hadn't told her? What if I had just taken the abuse? Would she still be alive? I hated him, but that hate and that anger consumed me, and he rented space in my life. Today, I am a survivor. He took my mom's life, but he did not take mine. I choose to break the cycle of abuse, and I choose forgiveness. I assure you this has not been easy, and I do not condone what Bob did. I loved my mother dearly. I cannot change what he did. I cannot bring her back, not just from her children, but her 11 grandchildren, her 9 great-grandchildren that she never got to meet, know, or build a relationship with. But my mom was a loving and forgiving person. Love should not hurt, and leaving shouldn't cost you your life. So now that you know my story, I respectfully request you grant Robert Maddox a medical furlough. I forgave him long ago, and my life purging all the hate and anger that once held me captive. I choose compassion and mercy, something he could not do. Love will always trump hate and evil. So by granting his furlough today, you're setting me free of all the chains that have bound me my entire life. As a child, no one ever gave me a voice. No one heard my cries. No one stopped the abuse or cared to help me. So let this end with my forgiveness in the memory of my mother who paid the ultimate price for me. Let the last word not be his, but mine. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Rice, for the courage and the compassion that you've shown here today. It's amazing what you've been through, how you have forgiven him. You've spoken to us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is that yes. Mr. Maddox, the panel, in considering the crime in your criminal history, we've outlined, the record reflects what the crime was, the length of time that you've served in custody, your institutional conduct, and as the medical experts tell us, there is a low risk that you are a danger to yourself or society in your current state. And the medical assessment of your condition is outlined by Ms. Park and the 2 other doctors there. It is my vote that you be granted a medical treatment furlough to River Oaks or any other facility that the Department of Corrections and the medical team deem appropriate. And basically, because of the facts and because of the request of not only Ms. Rice, but her sisters who've also written letters, I'm going to suggest and make part of my recommendation that if he is ever recovered sufficiently to be returned to prison, he shall be returned to prison to finish his sentence. That's my vote. Mr. Rochet?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Rice, as the as the victim advocate on this board, I'm amazed at your compassion, and I understand this sets you free. Thank you so much for your participation. I was amazed at your statement. Mr. Maddox,
They're talking to you.
Oh, yes, sir.
I'm gonna grant conditionally to a medical treatment furlough in any event that you gain your strength and gain ability to take care of yourself, you will be reincarcerated. And I'm granting based on the request of your stepdaughter for no other reason than the request of Miss Heather Rice. Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Mr. Maddox, my vote is the same for the same reasons, not because of anything you deserve. This was a horrible crime, but because of the hardship you are placing on the medical staff, prison, and because of the grace extended to you by Ms. Rice. So my vote today is the same.
Mr. Maddox, you have received 3 votes to grant your medical treatment furlough. Your medical treatment furlough has been granted to go to an off-site medical facility currently designated as River Oaks or any other facility that the department determines to be more appropriate if River Oaks for some reason is not available. And if recovered sufficiently, you shall be returned to prison to finish your sentence. Good luck to you, sir.